He's doing good. He's healthy. He's getting back to it.
You've been through this a couple of times, whether as a GA or now as a position coach. What makes this quarterback battle maybe different than 21 or maybe 18 or Justin coming out?
Yeah,
what
no.
makes this one different?
Well, I think just like what makes every team different, right? Every team has certain things, and every guy has certain strengths. Every guy has certain weaknesses. But it's a good battle with a bunch of good quarterbacks, and they're competing every day.
Now that Devin's healthy and able to throw the ball and really that stuff.
Yeah, he is.
Corey, can you kind of go through, you might have already answered this, I got over here a little late. Can you kind of go through what Kyle does best, just kind of break down kind of what he does best as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think Kyle's an accurate kid, big, strong arm, understands the offense. And like I was saying earlier, it's just with our offense, we do a lot of things, and just especially the quarterback position of getting the reps. And I think that's been big for him versus, you're taking reps as a 2, or then all of a sudden you're splitting reps to where now you get quality reps. You can really kind of sink your teeth into the offense and really kind of work on your craft.
How's his mobility?
Oh, he's good. He can run around a little bit.
Yeah. And same question about Devin. What does he do well out there as a quarterback?
I do think Devin, he's an athletic kid. Same thing, right? Big arm, a lot of talent. I think just really at the end of the day with both those guys, they wouldn't be at Ohio. They wouldn't be at Ohio State competing for the starting job if they didn't have elite traits and elite characteristics. Both of them.
What does Tristan mean to your room from a mental standpoint?
Tristan's great. He's a great addition. He's a unique kid, right? He's an older kid. He's been around a lot of college football, seen a lot of coordinators, a lot of things. And I think, Tristan, I'm not even sure if you guys talked to him. He wants to be a coach, right? That's something that he wants to do. He wants to dive in it. And so he really understands and he really embraces his role, right? And so a lot of guys, when they come in, they're too worried about what is their role going to be versus, hey, look, let me find a role and all right, this is going to be my role. And, you got to take a lot of reps in the spring, and, he's a huge addition to Ohio State.
Ryan has always said that he preferred 4 scholarship quarterbacks. He'll have 4 that will come in every weekend. How different will the quarterback room be, and how improved will it be with the 4th guy in there in comparison to maybe last year?
Yeah, it will be different. There's obviously another guy in there, right? So not as many reps to go around, but you have to be creative and you have to find ways to steal reps. One thing that we talk about at Ohio State is competitive excellence, and that's when your number's called, are you ready to go? And we've seen that a lot through this, right? Whether you take Dwayne from his time through, or even the games where Chugs had to step in versus up north. So guys have to find ways to be creative, to find reps, whether it's standing in the back, taking those mental reps behind the snap.
Not that you guys have had any trouble recruiting quarterbacks, but how much does it help now that you can, when you recruit kids, you can say our last 3 starting quarterbacks were top 15 overall picks in the NFL draft?
Yeah, no, it definitely helps. But Ohio State's a special place, right? Like, it's always been a special place, and it's always going to continue to be a special place. And then really just the pieces that we surround you with as a quarterback, and then it's been pretty good to have those guys. I mean, Justin, and he's going to kill it this year, and I can't wait to see what CJ is going to do. I mean, he's already lighting it up, I know for sure, and so it's exciting for those guys, definitely.
Is that fun for you after all this? Go ahead.
What was like seeing CJ go over too?
Oh, it was such a cool experience. I mean, I love CJ to death. He is by far one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. He loves football. He loves the grind. He loves the game. And he's going to be successful at the next level, and it's going to be awesome to see what he does, for sure.
There was all those rumors out there, and people were knocking him, saying he was going to fall, saying he failed this test and all that. I mean, was that frustrating to hear that? How nice was it for you, for your guy to go number 2 overall?
It was really cool, right? Just because I know the amount of effort that he put in, and it does make you laugh with the things that they were saying. It's like, that couldn't be any further from what CJ is. I mean, he's probably one of the smartest guys that I've ever been around when it comes to understanding football, understanding the offense, understanding, coverage, defensive recognition. And so when you hear all those things kind of being said, like, I'm sure there's a little strategy and a little gamesmanship behind it.
Yeah.
Is that what, kind of to build off that, CJ was the 2nd pick, Justin's the 11th pick, Dwayne, rest his soul, 15th pick. All of those guys got to New York, CJ got there multiple times. that's kind of the standard now of what Ohio State's starting quarterback is. It's not just being good. You have to basically be potentially the best player in the country. Is that why maybe it takes a little bit longer to figure out who the starter is going to be? Because they're not necessarily competing against, each other. They're competing against a standard that's kind of almost unrealistic. You keep meeting.
No, that's definitely a great question. And there is a standard at Ohio State. A lot of great guys in front of them. And they understand they're all competitive guys. Like, they see what it takes. They saw the effort that CJ put in. They know what it takes to be a great quarterback. And so, no, I definitely, there's definitely a standard that those guys want to uphold for themselves, for sure.
Corey, what's the process been like of working with Lincoln to get him prepared to come in here?
There's creative ways and creative things that we do to make sure that he gets caught up. I know he's playing baseball. I know he's, I laugh at him. I was like, man, you're throwing no hitters, man. You got to come in here and get ready to play some football. So we're excited to get him here next week, and it'll be good.
Obviously, the last few freshmen who've come in have been early enrollees. How's maybe the acclimation process different for a quarterback coming in the summer?
Yeah, and I keep saying it, but the actual getting the reps, like, that's the best way to, work your craft. But there's ways, sending playbooks, talking about the playbooks, diving into film studies. You can do a lot of things now in today's world, especially, with Zoom, and Zoom's a second nature to them. So you can be creative with some certain things.
Are the goals different for a guy that's coming in mid-year than maybe they would be for a guy coming in January?
I don't know if the goals are ever different, right? Like, you obviously have goals and you have benchmarks, and the process might be a little different, but we'll definitely get him caught up so he's ready to go.
Did Lincoln have the option to come here in the spring with somebody who wanted to play baseball? How did that discussions all go?
We really kind of we dove into it a little bit. I mean, he probably could have taken some other classes or some certain things, but he was a competitive kid. He had something. He had an opportunity to go win a state championship in baseball, state championship in basketball and football, and so those are some things that he wanted to kind of work on, and we were okay with.
Do you think, does that provide a valuable experience for him to do those things versus come in and spring? I imagine it's like a balance that kids got to weigh and think about.
No, it definitely. I'm sure it's a hard decision for him, but he made his decision, and we're excited to get him here when he gets here.
Corey, as you guys went through the quarterback battle in the spring, what's something you learned about both Devin and Kyle that you saw grow throughout the spring?
I would just say for both of them, just the process of the game, right? Not meaning, I think you go into it and you have an expectation of what it's going to be, but then, just them learning and growing and loving the process. I mean, that's been awesome. Both those guys, I mean, they're grinding every single day. They both want to be great, and so we're excited to see what they do the rest of the summer moving forward.
What's the summer looking like for Devin? Obviously, he got hurt at the end of spring, but he said he's going to be fine. What's that summer looking like for him?
Yeah, no, he'll be able to go. I mean, I'm not sure the limitations or anything like that, but those guys will be ready to go.
To go into a season of 4 scholarship quarterbacks, does that feel like a luxury in today's day and age?
I guess, it definitely is. One guy obviously plays, but you definitely need everybody in the room. Anytime that you can have more than one, it's definitely a luxury.
The way spring ended for Devin, having to miss that last week with the finger, not getting to play in the spring game, was that hard for him? How did that affect him?
I would for sure say it was hard, right? You go, and when you come to Ohio State, you want to play in the shoot, right? You want to play in front of Buckeye Nation, and you want to show everyone all the hard work you put in. He put in a ton of hard work, and he wanted to show his hard work, and I definitely would say he was bummed out a little bit, but he's good right now. We've kind of turned that page, and those guys are focused on the summer and getting better and getting ready to go this fall.
Do you have like a target date in your mind of when you'd like to have a starting quarterback named?
No.
Corey, how do you evaluate the spring? It's kind of hit or miss. Like, guys can have bad spring games and still be a star.
Yeah, like I think somebody relayed Justin, and I'm going to be wrong on this, but what was like 4 completions, or you guys probably know better.
It was like
4 of 13 and threw like an 80-yard bomb the last play of the spring game.
98-yard, I think.
Yeah, whatever it was, right? It was something crazy. No, the spring's good. It definitely is hard because you're not showing your whole offense, right? You're being a little conservative, but that's just at the end of the day, it's a game. It matters, but you can't live and die by one game.
So when you go into it still trying to find a starting quarterback, and obviously Kyle's a guy out there, what do you want to see from him in that game? Because obviously, like you said, it's a lot different than an opener.
Yeah, you want to see a guy who's productive, who manages the team, manages the flow of the game. You know, especially for young guys. And I mean, Kyle's a little bit different because he started a game, he's played a game at Ohio State, but a lot of those guys, it's their first time running out of the tunnel. It's the first time, you know, taking meaningful reps, really getting to play. But it's just how productive are they and what are they doing, you know, and how are they not only doing good things for them, but, you know, making their teammates better around them.
Did you see the things you wanted to see out of
Yeah,
college?
absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
When a guy like Lincoln comes in here, super competitive, wants to be the man, obviously. Realistically, we should understand he may not be, likely won't be. How do you manage his own expectations versus your expectations, and how to get him to improve without being focused on things that he can't do?
I think, you know, and I've said this earlier, but, you know, for those guys, when you talk about a competition or you're talking about certain things, it's, yeah, and Coach Day says it all the time, right? Like, that's part of the model. Like, how do you fight to be the best version of yourself? And so once you kind of ingrain that culture in there, when Lincoln's at his best, and he knows whether or not, he'll know whether or not, you know, has he reached his ceiling or where he needs to go, and those guys understand. And so I think that, you know, you just kind of explain the culture, explain what we are, and when your time's right, you'll be ready to go.
How have you seen Corey, or your Corey,
Yeah.
Kyle, and Jeff both elevate or move toward that best version of themselves after spring?
I think the one thing that's a little, you know, unique and a little different at the quarterback position is one guy plays, right? You have such a magnifying, you know, figure in C.J. Stroud in that room that there's a big void when he's not there, right? There's a big presence that's not there, and so you kind of get to see them be able to kind of project themselves a little bit more so than they would if CJ was at practice or CJ's talking to a guy or CJ's doing that. So it was good to see for them.
Have you seen that on both?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure.
I've seen a lot of nice comments about you from recruits, and not just quarterback recruits, like all kinds of recruits. Can you kind of get into, for the fans that don't know, like your recruiting duties and some of the positions you recruit outside of quarterback?
I think, you know, in today's age, if everyone's not recruiting everybody, then that's where things, you know, get crazy, right? Like when you come to Ohio State, you come to a family, and so anytime that, you know, I can add value for whatever position, whatever area, I definitely try to do that.
Did you always kind of knew that you were going to be a good recruiter?
I don't know.
Or know you were going to be a good recruiter?
I don't know if I knew that I was going to be a good or a bad recruiter, but I did know that I was going to work hard at it, right? That, you know, recruiting's the lifeblood of college football, and if you don't work at it, then somebody else is working at it.
Thanks, Corey.